By understanding this contemplation, you will feel so much natural about using the law of assumption efficiently because you understand the nature of desire and how it actually helps consciousness and creation expand infinitely. And so in this video, we'll contemplate on some ideas that Neville talks about in many of his teachings, because if you're able to understand these ideas, then you'll see how the fulfillment of your desire is already natural, and you'll be able to embody the feeling of your wish fulfilled with ease without having to force yourself into that and without having to push it. So this video may be a little different than the rest of them because we'll be contemplating some philosophical concepts and not really speak about the technique, but understanding these philosophical concepts, again, they will in a way help you learn the cheat code behind the law of assumption. So if this sounds like something of interest to you, stay with me until the end of the video, and I'm sure that you'll feel much more natural about fulfilling your desires and embodying the feeling of your wish already being fulfilled. That being the case, let's directly start with the video. So there are three main points I want to discuss with you that will help you understand how your desires are already yours. Your desires are already yours. They're because you have them, because they are inside of your consciousness. This means that it's inevitable that they'll fulfill, that they'll manifest in reality. So here is the first point. Neville Goddard, in many of his teachings, says that consciousness is infinite. It is the only reality. So what does he mean by that? Well, think about it this way. For you to experience anything, whatever it is, it may be the worst experience or it can be the best experience. But for you to be able to have this experience, you must be conscious of it. So there must be your consciousness prior to you having an experience, whatever that experience is. There needs to be the consciousness in the background, your consciousness in the background, which is the subject enlightening the experience that you will be having. That's why consciousness is infinite. It has an infinite potential of experiences that it can experience. And so that's why it is the only reality, because there needs to be consciousness for you to have an experience. Without consciousness, who will be there to have the experience? Who will be conscious of the experience? Okay, so far it makes sense, right? Now, if we go a little further, it is complete. And now this can be a little paradoxical because first we said that it is infinite. Like consciousness has an infinite potential of different experiences it can have, but it is also complete. And these are in a way kind of contradictory. So we need to look at it from both perspectives. The first one is the third-dimensional perspective, which we'll get to in a moment. And the second one is a fourth-dimensional perspective, which is in a way when we don't see time as something linear, but we only see the presence of this moment. So, okay, if consciousness is infinite, then this means that it expands infinitely. It has an infinitude of like many different variations of infinite variations of different experiences it can be aware of. But so in this infinite expansion of experiences, it is also complete. Because if consciousness is the only reality, and it is required to be there for us to have an experience, we need to be conscious to have an experience in the first place. This means that the consciousness, like our ability to perceive, the cognizance that we are, our presence, it is complete. It must be there in all cases for us to have an experience. So it is complete. And even though it has an infinite variety of different experiences it can be conscious of, it is complete in its ability to be conscious of them. So both are true. It is infinitely expanding, but it is also complete in its awareness of experiencing whatever experience it is aware of, it is conscious of. Can you see how both of this, even though a little contradictory, both of them are true? Consciousness is complete, and it is also infinitely expanding. It is infinitely expanding in its manifestation. but beyond its manifestation, it must be there. So everything exists inside of consciousness. So this is really crucial to understand, because if you get this concept, we can go to the second point and then to the third point, and you can see how your desires are actually already being fulfilled. They're already yours. They're inevitable. Like, it's, if you have a desire and if you can feel that desire, it is inevitable to happen, because it's part of the expansion of consciousness, of reality, of existence, of creation. Creation expands infinitely and it is complete. We can use, instead of consciousness, we can also use the word creation, because they're kind of the same. Like, for you to experience creation, you need to be conscious of it. So this is the subject-object relationship that we have here. Like, again, just see this really clearly. Can you have an experience without you being conscious of it in the first place? Is that possible? Because if you say that it isn't possible, then okay, it makes sense that consciousness is complete. It contains within it every possible experience. And it is also expanding infinitely, because, like, think about it, every human, and we are like more than 7 billion humans already, I think more than 8 billion, we have so many different experiences. And all of us need to be conscious to have these experiences. So if we give all our experiences back to consciousness, then it makes sense that consciousness is expanding infinitely through our desires to experience whatever we want to experience. And here is where it gets interesting. Human existence, like, we are kind of a limited creatures. So human existence, it is limited to our third dimensional reality. We are limited to our 5 senses and to our external reality. We perceive our external reality through the 5 senses. And then our rational mind calculates all this information and, like, shows us that we experience something which we see and perceive through our 5 senses, and we don't experience something else which is outside of our 5 senses. And now this is really crucial to understand, that our human experience, it is limited, but our consciousness, the perceiver of the experience, it is unlimited. It includes every single experience that could possibly exist, that has existed, and that will exist. So everything is already experienced. It is already present in consciousness, not in our human perception, which is limited. And so this is the second point that we need to understand, that human existence, it is limited. We are always limited to what we experience. Our brain, the perception of our brain is always limited to the perception of our 5 senses and to our rational mind, and to the external reality. This is how we limit our experience of consciousness, because we can only be conscious of something in our human experience. We can only be conscious of something which is which we are aware of through our 5 senses. So this is how our 5 senses and the external reality limits us. But now, if we see the human existence as the bridge between the consciousness, which is complete and it is infinitely expanding, then we can see how our desire is the medium through which consciousness expands infinitely. And now let's go directly into this third point. The only way for consciousness to continue expanding in its completeness, now this is the paradox, it is complete, but it is also infinitely expanding. When it is having experiences, it is expanding. So when it is having experiences through our limited human experiences, this is how it is expanding. But in its most pure and in its most pure and pristine form, it is already complete. It already has every possible experience we can conceive of. But it is expanding through our limited human experience. So the only way for consciousness to continue expanding in its completeness is through the illusory free will of the human experience. And so this is, again, Neville stated this many times in his teaching, that free will is ultimately an illusion. Because when we have a desire, and when we are really committed to that desire, like when we accept that desire as true, when we feel it as true, it is inevitable to happen. Like, in the time-space continuum of reality, we will experience some like linear sequence of events that will get us to the fulfillment of our desire. But the moment we have that desire, it is already complete. It is already fulfilled. It is already manifested. So this is why free will is illusory, because again, we're living in this limited experience of the material external world. This is our human perception. And like when we get in contact with limitation, this creates desire. Because again, when we're living in our external world, in our external reality, when we see something that others experience and we don't have in our experience, this creates the feeling of whack, like we're whacking what we see others have and we don't have. And this feeling of whack creates desire. And now this desire is the same feeling that allows for consciousness to continue expanding infinitely, because in its most natural and pure state, it is complete. But through our illusory free will, when we get in contact with limitation, with the limitation of our external world, this creates desire. This desire, it is illusory because it is already fulfilled. From the pure state of consciousness, it is already fulfilled. But from our limited state of the human experience, we have to go through some sequence of events to get to the fulfillment of our desire. And this is how we help consciousness expand infinitely in its already complete state. So this is where it gets really fascinating. Now, think about it. We desire to experience that which is working in our external reality. So again, when we get in contact with limitation, this contact creates desire, and we desire to experience that which we believe is working in our external reality. Because again, we perceive through our five senses, and through our five senses, we have a limited perception of what reality actually is. Because reality, like consciousness, is the only reality, but we see a limited portion of that consciousness manifested in our external world. And so when we get in contact with limitation, this creates desire. The desire we have puts us in a position in which we pursue that which we believe is working in our external reality. And this desire, like this energy of desire that is created when we get in contact with limitation, is the exact energy that helps consciousness expand infinitely in its completeness. So without our human desire, consciousness wouldn't be expanding infinitely, so it wouldn't be complete. This is why it's illusory. Like our free will is illusory, and it is illusory in the context that consciousness is already complete. But in the context that we're perceiving through our limited perception of the five senses, then this desire is real, and it is real. It's like this desire is exactly the medium through which consciousness continues to expand infinitely. Now, if you get this concept, here is the last sentence I want you to read, and I want us to contemplate. Our illusory desires are the medium through which consciousness can continue to expand infinitely. Thus, your desire makes consciousness complete and is already yours. Because if you didn't have a desire, which is illusory, because it's coming from the illusion of free will that we experience in our limited perception of reality through our five senses. If we didn't have that desire, and if we didn't think of all the ways we can pursue and fulfill that desire, then consciousness would be limited in the ways in which it experiences everything that is possible as an experience. So through our illusory free will, when we get in contact with limitation, this limitation creates desire. When we have this desire, in our limited perception of reality, we need to go through this sequence of events, which are, in a way, they are the medium through which consciousness expands. So consciousness wouldn't be complete, wouldn't continue to expand infinitely if it wasn't for our desires. That's why we are needed. Our desires are needed for consciousness, for it to be complete. We are on the edge of on the edge of this continuously, infinitely expanding consciousness. Without us, without our human limited experience, consciousness wouldn't be able to expand infinitely, and it wouldn't be complete. This is the exact reason why your desires are already fulfilled. They're part of the completion of creation. So if you grasp this concept, and I know it can be a little abstract because we are looking from two perspectives, the limited 3D perception of reality, three-dimensional perception of reality, and the unlimited four-dimensional perception of reality, where we exclude time and we just perceive through the presence of this moment right now. Which again, if we just look at this moment, there always needs to be the consciousness of our awareness, the awareness of our consciousness, for us to have whatever kind of experience. And with this consciousness and with the desire that we experience when we get in contact with limitation, if we compare these 2 points of view, we can clearly see that the only way for this consciousness to be complete and to expand infinitely is through the illusion of our desire, because it is illusory, because it is already fulfilled. In the four-dimensional state of perception, our desire is already fulfilled. In the third-dimensional state of perception, we need to go through a sequence of events. But to reach this state when we say it's already fulfilled. And this sequence of events is what helps creation expand infinitely so that it can be complete in its state of the four-dimensional perception of how it exists and what are its dynamics. And so this is why your desire is already yours. It is already fulfilled. And this is why if you maintain the feeling of your desire already being fulfilled, then you will go through this sequence of events which are not for you to plan. They're not for you to decide. They will just happen. Like naturally, when you maintain the feeling of your desire already fulfilled, you'll find your reality shifting and molding, the circumstances in your reality shifting and molding so that they reflect the fulfillment of your desire. Because in consciousness, your desire is already fulfilled. And consciousness is the only reality. It is complete. So when you have a desire, it is already fulfilled. It must be complete. And if you can maintain that faith, because you understand this concept, and you can recall this concept through your everyday life experience, it will be much easier to surrender all feelings of limitation, of lack, of doubt, of anxiety, insecurity, and just maintain the feeling of your wish already being fulfilled. So this was the missing piece, my friend. And I really hope that through this contemplation, now you are able to see how your desires are natural. They're the medium through which consciousness creation expands and it is complete. So there is no need for you to put your desires on a pedestal, because they're already part of creation's infinity. And if that is the case, every desire you have, it is natural for you to have it. It's not something that you need to put on a pedestal and be like, oh, whoa, this is so impossible. No, it is actually natural. And if you believe that, if you accept that your desire is already the case, you'll find yourself spontaneously acting out from the energy of your desire already being fulfilled. And so the means through which you go to fulfill your desire, you wouldn't have to care about them. They will happen naturally if you just accept the feeling of your desire, of your wish already being fulfilled. So this, my friend, was everything I wanted to share in this video, this contemplation. I really hope you found it useful. You found it like stimulating to your mind, and now you see that it's much more natural to accept your desires as already complete, already fulfilled. And if that is the case, like this video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts on this philosophical contemplation. I would love to proceed in the comments. And let me know if you like this kind of videos, because for me, it's like really fulfilling to create them, and we can meet like every other day making similar contemplations. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you're new, like this video, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you again, and I love you. Bye-bye.